The most famous gunfight in American history lasted 30 seconds, and it reveals a truth that quietly destroys almost everything people believe about the Wild West. This is a story about weapons, but even more, it is a story about myths. Subscribe to Weapon Archive for more stories from history's forgotten inventions. For more than a century, the image of the American frontier has been dominated by a single idea: a lawless land, dusty streets, armed men settling disputes with lightning-fast gunfights. According to popular belief, violence was constant, and survival depended on how fast you could draw. This image became so powerful that it shaped American culture itself. Gun laws, political debates, even national identity. But the historical reality was very different. The real American frontier was not a non-stop battlefield. In fact, most frontier towns were far more peaceful than modern American cities. Many of them enforced strict gun control laws, laws that would shock contemporary audiences. The Wild West was not defined by chaos, it was defined by order. So how did the myth begin? Not with real frontier life, but with entertainment. In the mid-1800s, a man named Ned Buntline discovered something important. Stories about violence sold. Peaceful farming communities did not. Buntline was a dime novelist, and he learned that exaggerated tales of gunfighters and outlaws made money. So he created them. His stories featured daily shootouts, impossible accuracy, heroes who could outdraw anyone. These characters were almost entirely fictional, but readers loved them, and fiction began to replace fact. Then came Buffalo Bill Cody. He saw an opportunity to turn these stories into spectacle. His Wild West shows toured America and Europe. They featured staged gunfights and dramatic reenactments. Audiences believed they were witnessing authentic frontier life. Cody even hired real former lawmen and outlaws. That detail gave the performances credibility. But the violence was still scripted, still exaggerated, still entertainment. By the early 20th century, Hollywood took over. Filmmakers realized something simple. Gunfights were exciting to watch. Courtrooms were not. So Western films leaned into shootouts, quick-draw duels, endless danger. The mundane reality of frontier towns was ignored, and the myth grew larger. Historical records tell a very different story. Towns like Dodge City and Tombstone enforced strict firearm regulations. Visitors were often required to surrender their guns to the local sheriff. Carrying firearms inside town limits was usually illegal. Punishments were immediate. Some towns banned guns entirely. The frontier was regulated, not reckless. Even the most famous shootout in American history proves this point. The gunfight at the OK Corral lasted only 30 seconds. It was not a traditional duel. It began because Wyatt Earp and his brothers were enforcing Tombstone's gun ban. The conflict erupted during an attempt to disarm violators. The most iconic gunfight of the Wild West was about gun control enforcement. Statistics confirm what the legends hide. Dodge City, often portrayed as the most violent frontier town, averaged fewer than 2 murders per year during its busiest period. Many frontier towns went years without a single homicide. The legendary quick-draw duel has no documented historical examples outside of staged entertainment. Professional gunfighters, as popular culture imagines them, did not exist in meaningful numbers. Violence did occur, but it was rare and usually unglamorous. Yet the myth endured and reshaped American gun culture. The romantic image of the armed frontiersman became a foundation of national identity. This myth influenced how people later interpreted the Second Amendment. It shaped political arguments and cultural attitudes toward firearms, all based on a version of history that never really happened. Even today, both sides of modern gun debates reference the Wild West. Gun advocacy often points to frontier traditions that did not exist. Gun control arguments cite frontier violence that was largely fictional. Both rely on entertainment narratives, not historical reality. The myth spread beyond America. It shaped how the world sees American culture. Violence, individualism, the lone gunman. These stereotypes still affect global perceptions today. Perhaps the most surprising truth is this: frontier America had extensive gun regulations. Many laws from that era were stricter than modern proposals. The supposed age of unrestricted gun ownership never actually existed. The Wild West gun myth is one of history's most successful illusions, a fictional narrative that became more powerful than fact. A story that reshaped culture and policy long after the frontier disappeared. And it was not the only weapon myth created this way. Another widely believed story involves a weapon said to revolutionize modern warfare through incredible accuracy and stopping power. A reputation built not on battlefield performance, but on Hollywood effects and marketing. Weapon Archive continues to examine how entertainment reshapes weapons history. Subscribe to Weapon Archive for more stories that quietly changed the world.